alive with survivor Stanley Weinstein. And then what happened?
Then I am legally in that camp, and I am going to get a job, and I'll be able to get my soup, and which was very good news for me. And that good news lasted one day till I found out what my job was. My job was to work in the stone quarry on a night shift. Again, 12-hour night shift to carry. Well, we were like a chain gang, you know. We were like a line of men who were throwing stones to each other, big stones from one hand to the other hand, to bring it to the machine that was crushing the stone. And if you were, you know, sometimes you would drop a stone. There was Polish guards and some Jewish guards, I don't mind telling you, and they used to get pretty good beating if you would drop the stone because the whole line stopped for a second.
Did they ever beat you?
You get pretty good, yeah. You get, well, a good smash, you know, like a smash. Not like severe punishment, but, you know, smash. They used to have whips or whatever it is, you got to smash. But, so I was on that night shift in the quarry. Now you realize now it's winter. Now it's like December, November, December 43. And I was on the night shift, which was also 12 hours. And then I got a job on the day shift. They would switch the night shift to the day, was switched to day shift, the day shift to the night shift. I don't mind telling you that I was, thinking about that box, how good I had it when I was lying just in the box instead of winter time in the quarry. That was pretty hard, but, after a while you sort of get used to it. It's automatic. That was my job, and I was there for maybe 2 or 3 months between the two shifts.
Did you make any friends at the barracks?
At the barracks, yeah, sure. At the barracks, everybody was friend in the barracks, and all the other guys were very good to me because, in fact, when I came to the barrack, everybody had to squeeze in order to leave me a room to sleep on. And the barrack was, was a very good relationship between all the prisoners in the barrack.
How many people were sleeping?
I would say about, these were smaller barracks, maybe less than 100, maybe 60, 70 in each barrack. And then spring time, they switched me to another job, and they put me in the ammunition factory, and I had to deliver the shells. As the shells came out from the oven, I had to bring them with a piece of wire and bring it to a rack. So my luck was that wintertime I was outside in the stone quarry, and summertime I was working near the stoves in the ammunition factory. So there was a no-win situation. But again, there were not many atrocities, really, that I saw, besides the occasional beating, except there were some executions in the barrack, and one of them, if you stole something, and you were punished automatic by death.
Did you see this?
Oh yes, there was one. Actually, I saw two, but I don't remember one. I don't remember. There was one hanging that I was there, but I don't remember it. I don't remember. But the shooting, I remember very well because this man, this young boy, was apparently caught stealing leather straps from a factory. They would use the strap and make soles, on the shoes. It had some value. They could sell it. And on a Sunday, we were called to the assembly area. We used to call it Appellplatz. Every camp had a place, assembly area, they called the Appellplatz. And we were asked, everybody was called from the barracks. That was on a Sunday, because on Sunday we did not work. They would brought us all outside, and we formed a big circle, and this SS, forgot his name now, he had a hunchback. He was the commandant of the camp. He, first they brought up this young boy, and they put the straps on his shoulders. And this commandant made a speech saying that, he was caught stealing, and anybody that's caught stealing has to be punished by death, and he has to be executed. And in fact, he took out his revolver, and put this behind his neck, and in 1 second was gone. So that was the execution that I witnessed. And there were many, many executions there that, people that were sick were executed, but I didn't see it. They were taken to the forest and executed. And so now we're in this camp in Skaržisko till summer 43. Summer 43, yeah. Summer 43, 44. Yeah, summer 44. That's right. Summer 44, again, they're liquidating this camp. And
where'd you go?
Yes, well, now everybody knew we're going to Auschwitz. You see, at that time, everybody knows that there's Auschwitz, and everybody knows what happens in Auschwitz, and everybody knows that we have no place to go, no place to run.
Who told you this? Who told you what happened?
Everybody's talking about it. It was no secret. At that time, everybody knew about Belzec. Everybody knew that our family went to Belzec. And also we know the Belzec was already, they liquidated Belzec because the Russians were already in Belzec at that time. In summer 44, the Russians were already occupied Belzec. So now we are eastern part of Poland, and now everybody knows we're going to Auschwitz. But again, you see, I was in the train, I think 5 times, and each time we were really going to extermination camp, whether it was Belzec or Auschwitz. But somehow, whoever was above guided my train in another direction. And they liquidated Skaržisko, and there were maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. And most of them were sent to Auschwitz. But they took a group that I was part of, and they took us to a place called Suleu, because apparently they needed people to dig trenches, anti-tank trenches, in western part of Poland, in order to stop the Russian advance eventually. So they decided to, right across Poland, to dig huge trench. So they were using some Jewish labor to do this work.
Do you remember your journey to Suleu?
Yes, that was a very unpleasant journey because it was very long. I think we were traveling maybe 2 days, even though it wasn't far. But I don't know if it was a day, and it's 24 hours or 36 hours. But I remember, again, we were squeezed into, those cattle cars. And
did you have any food?
That wasn't a problem, no food, but no water. And, we would slow down in the fields. And that's another thing that's always in my memory, that we would slow down in the fields, and some people had a watch. Some people had some belongings, and they would offer the Polish people, the farmers, some valuables for some water. And so the farmers were willing to sell water for some valuables. But the Germans would shoot in the air to chase them away, not to give us water, because they wanted us to die. Even though they needed us to do some work, we were going to do a very important job. They didn't care if we died. I don't know how many died. I don't know who died. I don't remember.
Did you have any belongings with you?
No,
after this?
no,
Did
no,
you
no,
take any?
no, no. I don't remember belonging. I don't know what I had. Yeah. No, I don't remember having a packaging. I don't remember.
Where is Suliov?
It's near Lodz. It's eastern part of Poland, near Lodz. And we arrived there, group of about maybe 200, and we're giving some engineers came there, some German engineers, and they had plans, and they indicated where we have to dig those fields. And we're digging them, and the same thing again. They wouldn't give us water while we're digging those fields. But lunch hour we got soup, and at night we would get bread. And we would sleep in the barn, like a big barn they reserved for us where we'd sleep, this whole gang, the group.
Were there only children?
No, children. I was the youngest. No. They were all guys, they were all men, in the 20, 22, 25, They were, no, there were no children. The only children I met is later in Buchenwald. Otherwise, there was no children, whatever I was. But now we have, I got lucky there again because apparently there was one of the German guards, and he was in charge of the project, and he asked me to be his translator. So even though we were there like maybe 2 months digging those ditches, I think I was in the ditch maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then he called me out. I should go with him to see the farmers and be his translator, because he needed to go into the house, and he was using a table for his plans, and he was sleeping in the house, and I would translate whatever he wanted from the farmer. So that was very good period for me, because while I was there, the farmer would give me, a little extra food. So that was another pretty good period for me. And now, again, we finished digging the ditches, and now it's fall 1943, not fall, it's the end of the summer. And again, we're supposed to be going to Auschwitz. And I remember exactly, we knew where we were going.
That was fall 1943?
Fall 1943, yes, sure. Fall 1943 or fall 1944, yes. I always lose my dates here. Sure, fall 1944. And again, we're on the way to Auschwitz, but the Auschwitz, we found out later, Auschwitz ovens and the gas chambers were busy because the Hungarians were being liquidated at that time. The Hungarian Jews were being liquidated to Auschwitz. And so they brought us to Częstochowa.
How did you get to Częstochowa?
By train. They brought us by train to a camp, like a camp in Częstochowa. And we didn't get a job because we were just there and waiting. And we would get some food. But, if you didn't steal, we didn't call it stealing, organize, If you didn't manage to get something someplace on the side, your lifespan was very short. So in Skarżysko, the only incident happened to me was that I met this friend of mine, and
in Skarżysko or
no, the Częstochowa.
Right.
Did I say Skarżysko? Yeah, Częstochowa. That and that was only a couple months after I saw the execution. This guy says, he saw a transport of potatoes, and the wagons. He saw potatoes in wagons, and he says it's very easy to steal some potatoes. He says, let's go and take a chance. So we went there, and we were trying to steal some potatoes, but we got caught. And we're going to the execution. So they bring us to the station, to the SS station, and they had a whole discussion while we were waiting, and they decided not to shoot us. They decided just to beat us up. And that was the really very bad beating that I got during my whole séjour in the camps. You see, I was watching. First, they took my friend. They put him across the chair, and one guy was sitting on his neck. He shouldn't be able to move. And I just saw the metal chain. You know, they took off his pants, and they gave him. The body was 10 slashes. You saw the blood coming out from his buttocks. And I was watching, and I was next, and I was shaking pretty good. And he got up, and I'm next. And after my beating, I get up, and we walk out, and I cannot walk. We're holding to each other. And I say to my friend, you know, I was lucky, you know, you got 10, I got only 1. He says, you got 10, but you fainted. So, but I knew I got 10 for the next few weeks. So I'm there till my wound healed. And again in middle of December, or the end of December, I think was Christmas Day. I think it was like around Christmas time. In December, they took a group also back to the wagons. And again, they didn't bring us to Auschwitz, because Auschwitz at that time was really being disassembled. You know, they realized they cannot finish the job with the Jews in Auschwitz. And incidentally, at that time in Częstochow, I think we're the only Jews left in the whole of Poland. You know, the Jews that were not hidden. That little group of Częstochow, that was the balance of the 3,500,000 Jews of Poland. You know. Anyway, we didn't go to Auschwitz. We bypassed Auschwitz, and we were brought to Buchenwald.
And how did you get there?
By train, yeah. And the train wasn't as bad. I know because it was going through Germany, they didn't want to show, you know. But was a much better train. We were less in the cattle train, but we were less packed in it. And we arrived to Buchenwald, and the crematorium is very close to the entrance as you walk into the gates. And you know, here we have crematoriums, you know, which they use for dead people, but you never see much smoke. You see nothing. There's a crematorium in Laval, and I never see much smoke. There you saw from the crematorium, fire was coming out. You know, the chimney was, all you see is fire. So now we see the crematorium from far away, and now we are being told that before we accepted to the camp, we have to undress, and we have to go through a system that's called the Lau zone. You know, in other words, taking care of all our lice. And so we have to undress, and then we're going to take showers, and then we're going to go to camp and get uniforms and go to camp. And what's amazing that even though I knew, I'm just talking about myself, I knew there were the whole story about the showers, the dresses, they give you a piece of soap, and I don't remember being nervous or crying or anything. That's it. That's our fate. At that time, you lost your will really to fight. So now we are going through before we go into the beds, we're going to this room where they have like a deep bath, like sort of a little pool. And we are now undressed, and we put our belongings on the table near us, and there are guards over there, and they tell us we should close our eyes and dip in this pool, which was acid. And first they shaved us. They shaved our heads, and we went through this routine. Then we go to the showers, and there were real showers, and we take the showers, and then we come to another room, and they give us the striped uniforms. That's the first time that we had the that I had striped uniforms, that was in Buchenwald. Because in Polish camps, they didn't have striped uniforms. You were wearing your own clothes. And they gave us, and the shoes, they gave us wooden soled shoes. And they gave me a number on this uniform. And I was put a little prison in number so-and-so.
Do you remember your number?
I have it someplace, but I kept on 205 something. I know my number was not the long number, because the numbers were already in the 5,000s when I arrived. My number was 2,000 because it was from a dead prisoner. That was, my friends would laugh at me at my number that I got. It was a dead number. And now we arrived to that camp, and we arrived to our barrack. And it's called Kleine Camp, small camp. Buchenwald had big camp and small camp. It was like quarantine. And they segregate us. Now they put older boys on one side and younger on the other side. And I arrived to this camp, and I see a bunch of children there, a bunch of kids in that camp. They came with another transport. And we were sitting there, and there was one of the prisoners, who was there for many, many years. He makes a whole speech. He greets us like we're coming to a summer camp. He's very civilized. He says, this camp is different from all the other camps. We don't accept any terrorizing by fellow prisoners, any beating by, nothing will be tolerated here. If anybody squeals, we will punish him. He says, and we are going to take care of take care of all the children. See, they explain us the Buchenwald is sort of a transition camp. You come to Buchenwald, and from Buchenwald they send you to different factories, sub-camps, to working factories. But we have decided, our organization, he calls it organization of prisoners, that we're going to try to protect all the children as long as we can in the camp. We're going to give you some passes saying that you are, in case the guards catch you, that you're doing special work in the camp, and we'll try to protect you. It was terrific. And in fact, we still didn't get much food. We got the same rations as everybody else, which was the same, little soup and this coffee and a piece of bread. But we never left the camp to go to work, because most of the people that left the camp to go to work didn't survive a long time, because they were beaten, they were working to death. And I saw some people from the previous camps that I met, strong young men that went to working camp, and they came back as Muslim. They were just walking skeletons, just waiting to die and to be sent to crematorium.
Who was in charge of your barrack?
His name was Gustav. I don't remember his second name. Gustav was his first name. Yeah, he spoke very like a soldier. He was there many, many years. He was like a little prisoner from way back. He was Jewish, but he was straightforward, very, very strict man. But now, even though there are no gas chambers in Buchenwald, but people are dying constantly from malnutrition, plus the people that they bring back from the camps, and they bring back there just to put them in the crematorium. So my life in Buchenwald was quite pleasant, because, again, I was able to organize that too. I would get a job in a Schreibstube, like in an office, and I was working for this Czechoslovakian man. He was like in charge of the office, and he would give me extra rations. And I was with him maybe a month.
Do you remember his name?
No, I don't remember his name. And the only real unpleasant thing I had in Buchenwald, that I volunteered to a job. They needed to fix a fence near a crematorium. And I arrived there, like near the crematorium, outside, fixing the fence. And first of all, and the part that we were fixing was facing the entrance to the crematorium, and the doors were open. And being a curious child, I peeked in, and I saw all the bodies being fed into the crematorium. And I was sorry that I looked in, but I did. And then I saw piles of bodies, next to the crematorium, like where we were in the enclosure. Thousands of bodies being piled up to be burned, because they had only 6 ovens, and I don't know how many they could burn a day, but they were not able to burn all these bodies. And it was a shock for me. And even though I saw a lot of bodies lying in the camp all over, but to see, it was a shock. But one day, because I worked there maybe a week or 2 weeks near the fixing the fence, and after that I was normal. I was going, and the other amazing thing was that the man that I was working for was an American prisoner of war, but because he was black, he was sent to Buchenwald. He was that was for the first time I met a black person in my life. Never saw a black person before. So I worked with him, and that was my experience over there. And in Buchenwald I wasn't very long, because in April Buchenwald was liberated.
Did you know about the progress of war?
A little bit. Well, we knew a little bit. Yes, we knew that Poland was already free. We knew that. Well, people came to the last transport. They came to Buchenwald from in January, from Chesterhof. They heard the Russians were there already, and the Germans still grabbed them. The Russians were already shooting at the Germans. They saw the Russian patrols in Chesterhof. But the Germans still were able to grab the last few Jews and bring them to Buchenwald. That was a priority. And so, as I mentioned, Buchenwald was not bad for the children, for us. But in beginning of April, now the Germans decided they're going to liquidate Buchenwald to erase all the signs of a camp or crematoriums or anything. So they had a plan to empty up the whole camp. And in fact, beginning of April, they were going to start with the Jews. So they gave an order to all the Jewish blocks to come to the camp. But we were told by then by the committee of the camp, if you get such a call, not to go. I guess it wasn't me, but must have been one of our leaders. And not one Jew showed up to go to the camp. But now they decided, because there were discussions between the committee of the prisoners, which were, most of them, they were Germans. Most the big shots, prisoners in camp were Germans. They were there since 30-something, because Hitler first took the German, which were opposing his regime, and he brought them to Buchenwald. It started with it. Then they brought people from Czechoslovakia. But finally, they decided they're going to liquidate the whole camp. So they spoke to the committee, and the committee told them, I'm sorry, we cannot give you the Jews because we cannot find them. Because by that time they told us not to stay in our Jewish barracks. Go try to move to different barracks. And we dispersed. We lived we moved to different barracks with different nationalities.
Survivor Stanley Weinstein. We're talking about Buchenwald.
Right. So now it's the beginning of April, and now we hear the cannons, the artillery. We hear the front. it's very, very close to Buchenwald. They were maybe 50 kilometers from Buchenwald, the Americans. And we thought we were going to be liberated any day because they were advancing at a tremendous speed. But apparently, they stopped to reorganize. The front stopped about 50 kilometers before Buchenwald and gave Germans enough time to really do a major job on the prisoners. Because at that time, we were 70,000 prisoners in camp, and only 21,000 were liberated. So the Germans killed about 50,000 people. Not in Buchenwald, they just brought them out on death marches. So actually what happened around the 4th of April, the Germans told the prisoners committee that they were going to liquidate the camp, and whoever doesn't come out, they're going to bomb it. They're going to erase all the trace of camp. So everybody better leave. And in effect, everybody start leaving. And when you would go on the Appellplatz, and you would go with your own group or whatever you wanted, and they would march you out. These became death marches because they were just marching them, all these people, till most of them died on the road.
Where did you go?
Pardon me?
Where did you go?
So where I went back to my barrack to hide. And I decided not to go out. I thought I'll take my chances and I'll just stay here. Even though at that time we were not getting any food anymore. The Germans stopped giving us any food, but we had water. And they told us, in case you want some food, you come out of the camp, and before the march, they'll give you some bread and some food for your march. And for about 7 days, I was just hiding in my barrack and other different barracks and waiting. But on the last day, I remember I spoke to some friends, and they decided, most of them, they're leaving. They can't take it anymore, and they're afraid they may bomb the camp. They may do it, the Germans. So I also decided to leave. On April the 10th, I remember the date, I decided that I'll just go and take my chances. And in effect, towards the end of the day, towards the end of the afternoon, I go out and I see different groups are lining up, different nationalities. When I mention groups, there was Czechoslovakian group, there was French group, there were Danish group, and French people were there, a lot of French people. And they're all walking out, they're all marching out. And then I see this group of Czechoslovakian people. And I remember the Czechoslovakian man that used to take care of me, he used to give me extra portion, and found in the camps the Czechoslovakians were very friendly towards Jews. So I thought that's going to be a nice group to join. And I see all them standing up, and so I went behind, and I'm standing there ready to move. And the group leader gives them order, forward march, and they all start marching, and I'm also marching. And he checks, he counts up, because he's got to report at the barrack how many people are, at the gate, how many people are moving out. And he sees me standing there. And he starts talking to me Czechoslovakian, and I cannot answer him in Polish. He says, are you Czechoslovakian? I said, I'm Polish.
Who's he?
He says, the leader, one of the Czechoslovakian boys, He says, no, this only Czechoslovakian people are going with this group. You have to stand behind. And I went back to the camp. And, we liberated the next day. Incidentally, that was the last group that left the camp. But there was a good reason why he didn't want me to go with this group. Because that group they had guns on them. They were armed. They were part of the committee. They were part of the organization clandestine organization that was planning maybe uprising when the Americans came closer.
How did you know that?
Because there's a book about it. Yes, I have a book right here that I read about. And it explains what happened to all the transports, but most of this transport survived, the Czechoslovakians, because as they were leaving Buchenwald, they saw American patrols already nearby, and they attacked the Germans, disarmed them, and they liberated themselves, that group. But I went back to my barrack, and I was there till the next morning. And next morning, they don't call people anymore to the Appellplatz. Usually every morning, we go to the Appellplatz. Now there's no call through the loudspeakers to come to the Appellplatz. So I'm just sitting, waiting. But about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I hear some artillery very close by, like very, very close by, like almost in camp. So I go outside, and I see the Germans, the uniforms. I see we are like on the hill. Buchenwald was like on the hill, and I see in the valley. I see they're like not walking but running. The Germans were running. I see on bicycles and walking and wounded. I see thousands of them. They're just running. And then I see in the background some smoke, and I hear grumbling of artillery grumbling. But then I actually see a tank. Tank. See, now the soldiers are disappearing. Then there's space. There's nothing. Quiet. And then you see a tank, and then the tank lets out the gun and into the building, and then the building explodes, like below the hill. It's maybe 2 miles from me, but I see it in the distance. And then I hear machine gun fire in the camp, So now I say to myself, well, now it's time to hide. And I ran to my barrack, under the bed, and I was very exhausted because I didn't eat for a long time, and I fell asleep. Because I woke up the next day. Actually, Buchenwald was liberated that afternoon, but a lot of prisoners, they cut the wires and they ran out to meet the tanks and the Americans. But I was under the bed for, I don't know, till the next day. When I got up, I see everybody's cooking chickens and things, and they got eggs. But the prisoners, there's like a whole party outside the barrack.
When was this?
That's the next day when I woke up. That's April the 12th. And they all ran to farmers, and they brought all the food, and they're having a big party. Of course, a lot of these people died because they overate. After you starve for such a long time, you're not allowed to eat. What did you eat? I ate nothing because they wouldn't give me a taste, because they wanted to satisfy their hunger, because they thought in case the Germans are coming back, I remember nobody would offer me a piece of food. But so the next, later on in the day, the Americans came in the camp, and they closed up the wire. They restored the wire fence, and they told us we're not allowed to leave the camp. We're in quarantine, but we're going to be taken care of. They give us some bread and whatever jam. I don't remember exactly, but we were on rations, because they knew we were not allowed to eat too much. So I was a little sick, but I was okay. And we were about 2 weeks. We were in the same barracks, in the same camp. And about 2 weeks later, they assembled all the children. When I say children, anybody till 18 years old. And they brought us to a special area where the Germans used to live, special housing, which was just outside the gate of the camp. And we were giving clean rooms and clean beds and very spacious. Everybody had their own bunk. and there were nurses there and some doctors, and they would sort of take care of us. And we were giving special rations.
Were you given any type of medication at that point?
I don't remember. Maybe I didn't need anything. I wasn't sick. I was okay. And while we were there for about 2 months, we would go to visit the city of Weimar, which was, or you would call it Weimar, nearby. And we were recuperating. We were recuperating very fast, and we were there for about 2 months. That place we were till the middle of June, 1945. We were told, we were invited to come to France. Anybody that wants to stay, or anybody that wants to go back to Poland, they told them, or to Hungary, because there were a lot of Hungarian boys with us, is welcome to go back. But the French government gave permission for all the children from Buchenwald to come to France. And we're taken by train to a place in France, in Normandy, called Écueil, which had a beautiful sanatorium. They emptied out the whole sanatorium to receive the 400 children. And they
Who
had...
took care of you there?
It was actual organization to care of us was Ouvre au Secours des Enfants, which is a French Jewish organization that's supported by worldwide Jewish organizations. And they mostly take care of children. Ouvre au Secours aux Enfants. It's an organization to help children. And they're subsidized by the government also, and whatever. And we were in the sanatorium. Now we're giving, beautiful rooms, like in the sanatorium. Everything's clean. And they had a lot of doctors there, and more psychiatrists than doctors, because we were all a little bit, disturbed. And now we were there for about the whole summer, the end of the summer, 1945. And while we were there, different organizations were coming from America, telling us what life is in America. If anybody is interested in America, America will accept children. You have to go through certain procedures. Or if you want to live in France, people from the French government came to visit us, and they gave us lectures what's like to live in France. Also that even though it's hard to get French citizenship, we would be allowed to become French citizens. And also one day, a group came in from, a Zionist group came from Palestine. And they came in also, and they want to know if anybody's interested to come to Palestine, because they need young boys, and they expect problems in Israel. And if anybody's interested, they have trucks outside waiting, and they have boats available. We can go. They have a quota for whoever is available from the British to go to Palestine. So half of the 400 left that day to Palestine. And the other 200, as I mentioned, they had psychiatrists, they had social workers, and they interviewed everybody. If you're religious, like Elie Wiesel, he was religious, and you could choose Orthodox, orphanage. They were all orphanages.
Was he with you?
He was right there, yes. He was there. Up to that time, he was with me in
Did you
Écueil.
speak to him?
I don't remember speaking to him. Yeah. First of all, Hungarian boys and Polish boys, they were in two different they were not together. They spoke different language, we spoke different language at that time, because we didn't speak French and we didn't speak English. So we hardly could communicate with them. But a lot of them spoke Jewish, of the Hungarian boys. But I know that he was there, and I know that he went to an Orthodox home. I think he was in the Vésinet, that's called Vésinet, which was outside of Paris. Then we had a home for people that wanted to work. They had another home. They had also in Fontenay, it's called Boussicot. And then we had another home in Paris, middle of Paris, for people that want to go to school. I wanted to go to school. So I lived in the home in middle of Paris.
What type of a school was it?
Well, you could go to different schools. Now, the Hungarian boys, they were more advanced in education. And some of them went right away to university because they finished their high school.
Where did you go?
And I went to a school that was sort of half a trade school. They were teaching you to be a dental technician, and they were teaching you other subjects. Half day was theory, and half day was practice. And was a great school, was a great organization, and was wonderful. They really took care of us very, very well. So that was a very good life in Paris. But I was longing always to go to America because, as I mentioned to you, all my mother's family, I think 5 sisters and a brother, were in the States. So in 1947, February 47, I immigrated to Brooklyn, New York.
Who was with you?
We went it was a group of about 10 boys that also were brought, they were going to relatives in America. And we were about 10 boys, and we went through by train all the way to Sweden. And we took a Swedish ship, Gripsholm, to go to America. And you see, in France, even though we were not starving, but we didn't have too much food because France was very poor after the war. Like I'm telling people, I never ate a banana till I came to America. But on the ship, there's food. So, and our accommodation was terrible. It was in February, and the ship was rolling like it was the big storm in the Atlantic. So, the first night, before we stayed, the whole dining room was full. The next day, there was half empty. But the third, fourth, the fifth day, only our table. We're still eating. But it took us 10 days to cross Atlantic. So, but after a few days, everybody got sick. And I arrived to America, and I was received by my relatives. I got my very great welcome from my uncles and aunts, and I lived with my aunt most of the time that I stayed in Brooklyn.
How long were you in Brooklyn for?
I was in Brooklyn total 5 years.
What did you do there?
First I took English course. Then I took a speedy, they had a special course, high school course for veterans. And I was able to join that course. So in 2 years, I was able to graduate from high school. And even though I mentioned to you, I was a very poor student in Poland, here I wasn't bad, and I was able to get high enough marks to be accepted to college. But I also was working as a dental mechanic with a dentist, so I was supporting myself, and I was going to school. And I advanced as far as 3 years I was in Brooklyn College, but then I came to Canada. And the reason I came
when was
to
that?
In summer 1952. Yes. And I came to Canada because actually I came to visit some friends here, and I met somebody, one of my friends, and he was involved in some stocks and whatever it is, and I lost all my savings. But I liked, Montreal. And since I lost all my savings, my psychology was, it took me 5 years to save a few $1,000. I lost it in one day. I'm not going to start another 5 years. I'm going to try my luck in Canada. So I stayed here.
Where did you live?
At first I lived, since I was a student of Brooklyn College, I was allowed to live in the summertime at the fraternity homes of McGill College. I paid like maybe $10 a week. And that I lived there in summertime. Then I was aboard in some Hungarian family. I rented a room. I think I paid $12 with breakfast on Barclay Street, if you remember that street. And finally, I started business and I started making some money. I used to bring used television from the States, and I became affluent, and I played around with the stock market and hotels and land, and by 1963 I was established. I took a chance. I got married.
When did you get married?
In March 63.
Who did you marry?
I married Sarah Snarch, was her maiden name. And she's still around with me. She didn't leave me all these years. And we have 3 daughters, and we have 3 grandchildren, and 4th is coming next month.
What are the names of your daughters?
The oldest is Felicia, middle is Francine, and the youngest is Nancy. Yeah.
And your grandchildren?
Grandchildren are, let me remember, Brandon is the oldest, the middle is Ryan, and the youngest is Samantha. Yes, Samantha.
Did you ever tell your children about your war experiences?
Not really. I told them some funny anecdotes, but not really, no. Not the morbid stuff, not the heavy stuff.
Are you affiliated with any Holocaust organizations today?
Yes, I contribute to Wiesenthal Center. I contribute to the Montreal Holocaust Center. And I belong to this, we have the American organization of the orphans from France, OSE. We have reunions, we have meetings every little while. And I'm in touch with many of these people.
How do you think your war experiences affected your life? How has it affected your life?
I think I'm almost normal. Yeah. I try not to think about it, and that's the only thing. That's the only way I can remain normal. But I was rejected from the American service because I was eligible to be drafted to the Army when I lived in Brooklyn. And I was rejected because it stated not suitable to Army because he is psychosomatic severe. I don't know exactly what it means, but that was some semi-crazy. So, that's it.
Have you ever returned to your hometown?
I was always thinking about it. And as a matter of fact, 3 years ago, we planned a trip to Russia. And we stopped on the way back, we're stopping in Warsaw. So I told my wife and my friends, another couple we're going with, that, it's a good idea. I'm ready now because it's 50 years later. I'm ready to go back to my hometown. Because I've been to Europe many, many times, but never to my hometown. But I said, I'm ready to go to my hometown. So we I reserved tickets to go from Warsaw to go to Krakow, and then I would take a taxi to my hometown, which is maybe 1 hour away. So 2 things happened. First of all, I arrived when I was in Russia, and also we went to Ukraine, Kiev, and I went to visit Babi Yar. Okay. I have to change the subject. Anyway, I went back to Poland, and I didn't want to go to my hometown.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell about your war experiences? Or?
Yes, I want to just say that the people that killed all the Jews and other nationalities, but they killed other Polacks, they killed other Germans, the Germans. These people, they were not Nazis that came from outer space. They were normal German people. They were bakers, doctors, lawyers, professors, and they were all killers, merciless killers. And I didn't witness all the killings, but from my hometown, which was 3,000 people, I know 500 ran away to Russia, but the 2,500, only 4 or 5 survived. Yeah, if you give me a minute, I can tell you exactly if it's 4 or 5. But the most 5. And the ones that were in Przemysl with me, only 3 survived. Now, where are the others? If they would be around, we would hear from them. I never heard from these people. They just disappeared from the face of the earth. And they were killed by Germans. Not by Nazis. Germans.
Believe in God, Mr. Weinstein?
I believe in God. I never say I believe. I don't believe. I still go to shul. I believe something. I still go to shul, of course, mainly high holidays. I'm a member and supporter of my synagogue. So I think I believe in something. But I believe in Judaism. I believe that I'm a real Jew. And I wouldn't like my children or grandchildren to marry non-Jews. I like them to be Jewish. I paid the price.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein, for telling our story.
Okay. Father, Nathan Weinstein, and my mother, Salomea Weinstein. Her maiden name was Margulies. That's an engagement picture taken sometimes in 1920, I believe.
Where was it taken?
In 1920, taken in my hometown, Poland, in Jasło. This is a picture of my mother's father, my grandfather. His name was Moses Margulies, and this picture was taken in early 40s in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, this is a picture taken in Jasło, on the street of Jasło, Poland, in my hometown. It was taken maybe 1936, showing my mother and my 2 sisters and myself. I got
Can you say their names, Mr. Weinstein?
Yeah, my sisters. The oldest was Frida, and the middle was Fela, and my mother was Salomea. And I got this picture from one of my aunts in New York when my mother sent it to them before the war. Yeah. This is a picture of myself, Stanley Selig Weinstein, taken in Paris in 1946. Yes. This is a picture showing us, myself and the group of children, leaving Buchenwald about 2 weeks after liberation. And I am in the middle of this group wearing a cap and a white coat, a beige coat. Yes. This is a picture of myself, Stanley Selig Weinstein. That's a close-up of the same picture. You see me in the middle of the picture wearing the cap. This is a picture taken by an American soldier about 30 days after the liberation, outside Buchenwald camp. I am Stanley Selig Weinstein. I am on the left bottom of the picture wearing a cap. Yeah, this is a picture showing a monument that we erected on Jasło Cemetery to commemorate the memory of the 2,500 people that were killed in that city. Yeah, this is these are 2 pictures taken a few years apart. The first one on the right is my wedding picture, showing myself, Stanley Selig Weinstein, with Sarah Snarch on our wedding day. And the one on the left was taken recently at the golf club, showing myself with my wife. This is a picture of my oldest daughter, Felicia, with her husband, Michael Nisker, with their one-year boy on the left, and the same boy, their son, on the right when he's 2 years old. This is my middle daughter, Francine, with her husband, Brian Liebgard, holding their baby son. On the left is their son when he's 4 years old, and their daughter, Samantha. She's 1 year old.
What is the name of their son?
Son is Brandon. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Ready? Yeah. This is a picture of my youngest daughter, Nancy, with her husband, Sam Ifergan, and they're pictured with my Francine's son, Brandon. Yeah, this is a video of a film taken by my mother's cousin, Max Cobb, that visited my hometown, Jaslo, in middle 30s. That's my great uncle. His name is Zeinvel, and that's my mother, and I am on the left, and my two sisters, Felicia and the oldest one is here on the left. That's that cousin picking up, I think it's picking me up. My mother's picking my middle sister. I'm just looking, I'm jealous. That's my older sister. That's my mother again with myself. You see a beautiful background. This is again my mother, myself, and my two sisters. Everybody's happy, having a good time. That's my great aunt Zeinvel. That's his aunt. This is this guy, Max Cobb, that took the pictures. He came from America just for it. This is a neighbor. Yeah, her name is Hufford, Shane Tantley Hufford. Yeah, that's his name is Eliezer Bloom. Yeah, Eliezer Bloom. And that's Manek Zeinvel. He immigrated actually to Israel before the war. That's again another cousin, Bloom, and his daughter, Regina. Yeah. And his son was the one that was killed in Jaslo in the back that I was thinking of. That's again this Regina and her. This man I don't recognize. These are again this Regina and Sister Bloom. This lady I don't remember. It's all family. Yeah. These are all relatives. These are all Zeinvels. Yeah, these are all relatives. Yes, I don't recognize these people. These are neighbors. This is again my aunt. That's a neighbor, a lady that's posing for the picture. Yeah, this is my great aunt. Yeah, and that's the neighbor again. They're very happy. She's wearing a sheitel, you notice? There she was wearing. You see the beautiful background, you know, that he's showing. I think purposely he's showing it on camera, showing what my hometown really looks like. This is the neighbor that's knitting. Yeah, she's not an aunt, she's just a neighbor. Yes, her name is Bloom. And, oh yeah, this is also Srumoishe Bloom. This is also my mother's uncle. Yeah, that's again my sister on the left. This is Srumoishe Bloom with his wife. This is the man, Max Cobb, that took the picture. I think this is his father, Cobb, yeah. And that's again this cousin from the States showing that's his father. Oh, his uncle, that's his uncle, yeah, through Moshe Blum. And this lady, this is my cousin. His name was also Zelig. That's my mother again, playing with the ball. I am on the left. And this is the gentleman from the States, the cousin. This is a neighbor. This one I don't recognize. Yeah, this is Max Cobb, the cousin that took the pictures. Yeah. He came to Poland, took these pictures, and I got them from him in Brooklyn after the war. That's one of his daughters. He had 2 daughters. Yeah. Oh, this is Ruchja Cobb. She also immigrated that's his cousin. She immigrated to Canada, to America before the war. Yeah, that's my mother's cousin. Here it shows that they are leaving to the country. It must have been summertime, and they're going to the country in Poland. They're saying goodbye to their friends, cousins, relatives. And here it's showing Polish luggage carrier. Yeah, here shows their view in the country, showing the Polish countryside. Here must be their country home. They're showing pictures from their country home. This is my big shot cousin having cigarettes. Yeah, that's his wife and that's his daughter.